think of Saturday morning in the 90s. You wake up to watch the cartoons, and then there's this event happening, like Nihilus, this big melodramatic bad guy, screeching and destroy everything. Obviously, we had a whiteboard with probably close to 100 characters. If everyone is overpowered, then nobody's overpowered.
At the time of recording, you guys just announced 2 new characters, Cosmic Ghost Rider and Black Panther. What has the reaction been like so far, and are these character reveals still quite nerve-wracking?
I think every time we are like in the comments section, just looking at the players' reaction and see how excited they are. I think people didn't expect at all to have Cosmic Ghost Rider in the game, so that was quite a surprise. He's maybe a character that is better known for like the comic book fans and not necessarily the larger Marvel spectrum, so it's always fun to have people just Google these characters and discover them. As
100%. Definitely a couple of deeper cuts in there. I think it's Phyla-Vell I had to look into myself. So lots of fun. Was it always a foregone conclusion that Tribute Games would work on another licensed beat 'em up following your work on TMNT?
I think right after TMNT, we were obviously on our high and wanted to keep the ball rolling and just tackle other dream projects basically, and we basically started to work on different pitches, and I think Marvel was on top of our list. It's a bucket list universe to work with. There's so many amazing characters in that universe, and cool stories to tell. We basically reached out and then got the ball rolling with them.
Cool. Did they already know of your work, or was it a case that you had to show them here's what we did with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, we can do this for you?
Well, we always do a pitch deck where we kind of present ourselves, but they knew about us. They're gamers. Like Marvel games, they're definitively really not only gamers, but aware of what the industry is doing, and they're basically part of many different teams as well, so they're kind of always on the lookout for new teams to work with.
So Frederic, obviously a big feature of this game is 15 is a bold number for any game starting cast, let alone a beat 'em up, right? Where I feel like back in the day, on Mega Drive, Streets of Rage and stuff, it was maybe 4, sometimes 5 if you unlock someone.
Our previous game had 11 characters, and that was after 2 DLCs. So and this is 15 characters out of the box. So
out of the gate. So what encouraged the team to sort of shoot for so many, and was it always a given? Did you always feel confident that you're we can do justice by all 15 characters equally?
When you tackle a universe so rich as the Marvel universe, there's hundreds and hundreds of interesting characters in there to work with, and even if we have this crazy amount of 15 playable superheroes, it was still a very tough part of the production to figure out who is going to be him. So it was a discussion that we had, and at first we thought maybe it's a bit crazy, but then we saw all of the potential that also comes with it. So
I imagine you guys were like a kid in a candy store. It's
Absolutely.
Why limit us to 15? Maybe we could aim for 20, but then you've got to rein in and stuff. I imagine.
If it was me, I'm definitely open for more characters at all time, but maybe the production side is going to be a bit more worried. But when we started, it was, as you mentioned, basically opening a toy box and okay, who's in? And one of the first meetings we did as a team was brainstorming which characters could be interesting for the game. Obviously, we had a whiteboard with probably close to 100 characters, and then, but at the end it was also filtering which characters could be interesting in terms of gameplay potential. Making sure that we had characters that would fit the beat 'em up genre and bring new abilities to the table. Because even if we had 15 playable characters, we don't want them to play the same. We want to make sure that every of these superheroes express themselves the way that they should, and that Spider-Man does what a spider can, and that Cosmic Ghost Rider is just a crazy character that is basically going berserk on the battlefield. Yannick, our writer, did a lot of research as well, figuring out what are the best what's the personality of these characters and how they should express themselves the best. Our animator team also, tried to figure out how these moves can be and look, and how they can all feel unique and different. And on the gameplay side, for us, I mean, it was a blast. We kind of needed to break the traditional formula to make it work with them.
With the large character roster, you know, the more I've played the game, the more I've been really thankful that you guys elected to input a character swapping mechanic.
Yes.
What was that, because of the large character roster, or was there another inspiration?
Having characters that are way more focused on, you know, specific abilities, and having such a wide cast, we naturally came up with the idea that maybe instead of just selecting one character, you're actually, you know, selecting two characters. So this way, their powers can, you know, combine together. And we started to play with that idea and seeing how we can do it. Like, oh, maybe when you swap, it's also something that is kind of, you know, active, like it keeps the combo going. Oh, but maybe, you know, when you swap, the characters can position themselves in a way that also, you know, adapt itself to the gameplay. And we did a lot of back and forth on it. Other systems, you know, working with it, like for example, like an assist system that you can basically summon your partner to perform specific moves on command, but also, you know, the way that we manage the health points in the games, like having maybe you want to switch characters so that the other character can rest and then recover HP later. It also became our live system, so you basically start each stages with two characters, and if they both get knocked down, well, it's you have to start over. So it brought a lot of different things, but also, you know, solutions to traditional beat 'em up lingos that we could adapt to our game. Like for example, when you get grabbed, instead of button mashing and such, it's basically now, well, you can swap characters and then your partner come in and you take the offensive stance, you know, from that move. So that's something that was cool. If you want to really like just play around and button mash two buttons just like the younger player would do in other beat 'em ups, like the game will still work and probably be fun. But if you want to deep dive and you know, try to push the limits of the combo system, then it becomes like something way crazier than what you usually have into these beat 'em ups.
Marvel games, they have a pretty good, or certain Marvel games, they have a pretty good history of letting you swap characters in and out as well. So I like to think that in your own way, you're paying tribute to that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that, like, because other people think that we basically inspired ourselves from, you know, the tag fighting games and such, and honestly, that like the process we went through like was probably similar. I guess these guys had the same thing, like figuring
Back in
out
the
like,
day.
yeah, so many characters, like how can we make sure that every character is unique? So they probably took the same road to end up at the same point as us.
Was there a particular sort of era or medium of Marvel that inspired the kind of art style you guys landed upon, per se?
When we started the game, we really wanted to make sure that it would still feel like the tribute style, like I mentioned previously, where obviously we're retro gaming fans. We love pixel art. We try to keep things still modern, but at the same time, you know, have these nostalgic interpretations, let's say, of these characters. Tackling the art style, but also the game in itself, we needed to kind of match the 90s era vibe of the Marvel universe, you know, that feels like the cartoons, but also like the Super Nintendo games, and have also the comic book interpretations of these characters. So I think like having all of these aspects kind of on the same with the same vibe really kind of built the actual vibe that the game would have.
Was there a particular character that proved the toughest to crack in terms of translating it into that tribute style, would you say, just off the top of your head?
Whenever you give these kind of characters to animators, like, it's both a curse for them because they're complex, but at the same time it's a gift because they love to create these incredible characters. Like especially Venom, like that was something that Mathieu, our lead animator, was like, okay, so this one is mine. Just not because it's too complex, but because it's too fun to do, like all of these crazy symbiotes and aspects of it. Having characters that like are wearing capes or, you know, very long pieces of accessories that can create some jarring movements sometimes. And you know, when you're doing a superhero games, like capes are basically they're like at least 30% of the time. So that was.
It reminds me of something a famous animated character said once.
Which?
No capes.
Okay.
The Incredibles. I like the idea that it sounds like, obviously with that Venom example, it wasn't a case of, oh, we can't do this character because they have a cape or they're too complex. It's, let's work out how to do it because they're too cool not to put them in the game.
And it was also fun to have like characters in there that might have been maybe lesser known characters or that had fewer incarnations in video games form. Like, for example, a lot of people were surprised and happy that we had Battle Ray Bill, but people were confused that why not using Thor, which is kind of a character that you could feel is similar, but for us it was it was a chance to kind of have a way to try to explore what that character could be in terms of video games, in terms of video game language. We have this cool idea where he can throw the Stormbreaker hammer away and leave it there, and it becomes like this kind of active trap in the battlefield that you can either recall or use, to combo and send enemies flying on it. So these characters also, gives us a chance to kind of express new takes on these characters as well.
Yeah, and like I guess particularly with Beta Ray Bill and to a lesser extent maybe Cosmic Ghost Rider, there's that you can kind of take ownership of them and know that you might be the first introduction to that character.
Yeah.
I always think about the Lego Marvel Superheroes game, how the big ending was here the Guardians of the Galaxy, and it was before the film had come out, and you guys are sort of maybe jumping ahead of Marvel a little bit in terms of, here's a kind of mainstream version of this lesser known character, and who knows where he'll go in the future. So that's really exciting. This is probably like choosing between your kids, but I'll attempt to ask it. For you personally, obviously not as a team, but is there a particular character of the currently announced roster that has grown to become your personal favourite, and if so, why?
I think the breakthrough character for me was Nova. I think right from the start we wanted him to be like this kind of in the comic, in the Annihilation storyline, he's kind of the main character, and we felt that could be cool to have Richard Rider be our main vanilla character. So yeah, I gameplay wise he's great. Like, he's a flying character. He has these like the beams that he can use to blast away and deal damage to ranged enemies. He's very versatile.
He's a very powerful character, Frederic, I have to say.
Yeah, there are so the balancing in the game, like the way I like to say it is, we need to make sure that every characters are powerful and broken so that nothing is too OP. Overpowered.
Everyone's OP in this in this game.
If everyone is overpowered, then nobody's overpowered.
I like that as a mission statement. I like that. What made you want to base the story off of the Annihilation storyline from the comic book specifically? And did you consider any other ones to begin with, or was that sort of your true north from the start?
Marvel Games came up with using the Annihilation storyline, in which Annihilus is trying to basically destroy the whole world. It's a great event in the comics because Annihilus's army is basically just a bunch of weird bugs. In gameplay wise, you can have bugs that that their forms would imply gameplay aspects and such, and we're like, oh yeah, it's a cool lineup of enemies. But at the same time, we're like, but it's I'm not a bit sure, but maybe a darker storyline in the sense that basically there's a lot of annihilation going, and we felt that maybe if we just we stick to space, it might be like a missed opportunity for what we do best, attribute. So we kind of bounced the idea almost of a what if scenario of like, but what if it's the annihilation wave coming, like similar to the comics, but striking the 90s era of the Marvel universe, where tribute games can shine more. Think of Saturday morning in the 90s. You wake up to watch the cartoons, and then there's this event happening, like Annihilus, this big melodramatic bad guy, screeching and destroy everything. So we felt like it was a cool starting point, and then it was just a matter of figuring out like what were the acts in the game and such, and it was quite fun.